Hello everybody, welcome back to Back Out of the Case. This is Skyflight44, aka Zach44, and today we're playing more Pokemon Stadium. And though I had a bit of trouble recording commentary for, part 6, and that was the main reason I couldn't really, I didn't really upload any videos for this for quite some time. I had a little bit of trouble with this next gym, which actually made recording the RAWs for Gym Leader Castle kind of, let's just say, annoying. I got my ass beat a few times. Don't know why. If I was really looking into what Pokemon I was using, it wouldn't have gone that way, but choices. The Pokemon I actually have now is mainly just picking some of my favorites, and then just picking a couple of Pokemon that would be quite useful against an electric type gym, while not going straight out for ground type Pokemon. I was afraid that the Raichu that Lieutenant Surge had Surf on it. I know for a fact that in some part of this game, some Raichu in this game has Surf. I don't know which one does, but I know one of them does, and that's I wasn't using something like Doug Trio after. I wasn't gonna be using too many ground type Pokemon, just because I knew something like that was going to happen, and I was going to get my ass beat. That didn't happen though. I don't know, it may or may not have had Surf, I don't know, maybe another one does, but one of them does. I just remember one of them does. Now, now that I think about it, I just started using Psyduck on my Pokemon X run, my second Pokemon X run. If you don't know, first time I actually used 18 Pokemon, one for each type. I had a little, some things came up in this run in which I kind of wanted to have a Floette in my party, a Ralts in my party, and also a Esper, and well, I'm trying to get two Pokemon for now I'm trying to get two Pokemon for each and every single type, but originally I was only supposed to go for one to get the 18 again. I spent too much time to get Ralts. I got myself the Floette after, evolved into a Floette, and I remembered that I wanted to get an Esper. I started using it before I let my brother start a new game on my first Pokemon X game, and I really started enjoying it. Just the fact that it actually could take hits. It actually had quite a bit of health for what I generally think of in a Psychic type. Then again, I'm generally using the more powerful Psychic types that have low health, and not the ones like Slowbro or Exeggutor that actually have quite a bit of health and can take hits. Yeah, actually, Psychic types can take hits. But something like Alakazam or Starmie don't have much health at all, and can't take hits as much. So you can, I believe you can run a defensive Starmie, of the moveset and stat-wise. Would I ever do so? Probably not. Starmie's too fun of a Pokemon to use for me to use it defensively, and the entire not competitive thing. But I just needed to get. I wanted to use all three of them later on because of a stupid little. I couldn't actually get two shiny stones in the game. I was kind of in between having to get a having Floette evolve or having Roselia evolve, and looking at the fact that I had Eevees I could get, and I also had nothing else I wanted when it came to grass types. Let's just say that I had to eventually take out Floette and replace it with a Sylveon, but let's just say that that's going to be a very hard run for me, level grinding wise, but it's going to be interesting. So, why I got into this was, I actually, for one of my water types, have been looking for a Psyduck. I actually got it, and maybe not in the first generation, because actually, even in the first generation, it was a pseudo-psychic type, but in the second generation, just looking at Golduck, its move set and everything, its egg moves, just everything about it. It really does seem as if it's a pseudo psychic type, which it can learn a lot of different psychic type moves naturally too. Many of them coming from its actual egg moves, but you can actually get a whole lot of different psychic type moves onto it. Even in the second generation, I believe it was like Reflect, Psybeam, Psychic. It only learned Confusion, but it could also have Future Sight, something else, I believe. And later on, it could actually learn stuff like Zen Headbutt and other moves, but it actually can learn quite a bit of psychic type moves. I mean, even the first generation, it learned Confusion. You could actually, if you didn't have a psychic type Pokemon, you could actually give it Psychic, and it could actually be, it will definitely hold its own against a lot of the fighting types, given that water type Pokemon generally have at least decent speed to higher speed. And in fact, their special attack's pretty good. I've actually been thinking about going back to maybe maybe not Fire Red or Leaf Green, but maybe Soul Silver and getting a Pinsir for a pseudo fighting type, because holy shit, half of Pinsir's moves are all fighting type moves. Reversal, Submission, Seismic Toss, what were the other moves? Brick Break, there's a couple of other ones, but holy crap, the only thing that really makes it any different than Heracross is that Heracross actually learns bug type moves, and it's also technically fighting type. But actually, I wonder, Mega Pinsir is bug flying, but it doesn't learn any flying type moves. Because if it did, that might put a new light on the Heracross Pinsir debate, in which Heracross is so much better than Pinsir. Or more specifically, Heracross is Pinsir done right. Because seriously, why wasn't Pinsir bug fighting to begin with? That sure as hell seemed like it could be one. Oh, and if that counter actually hit me, my choke would have went down so quickly. But you're not gonna take me down, Charmeleon. Now that was another thing, and so far I haven't actually gotten a Charmander in a couple of years now. Actually, the last time I used it was probably that Fire Red run that I did before that idiot friend of mine deleted all my videos. You would take a Charmander and a Charmeleon into the same fight. Oh well. Machoke can actually get in an Earthquake, possibly, though that's not going to be doing as much damage as it should do because of Burn. Wow, critical hit. Hope you didn't hear that ambulance. Probably didn't, but... what was I talking about before? Oh yeah, I haven't really used Charmander in the entire Charizard line. And I damn well wasn't going for it this time. I went with Fennekin the first time in Pokemon X simply because I could get a Squirtle later on, but I really wanted to use Froakie because it was an interesting little Pokemon. For the most part, many of the water type starters have been something like a bulky sort of Pokemon, or something that looks fairly strong, or just large in general. Blastoise for Alligator, the bulky variety. Swampert, really strong, just muscular. Empoleon just looks. First of all, it's steel. It looks just regal, and god damn, does it look huge. Actually, though it's not really any bigger than the other ones, but. And Samurott just looks kind of bulky, actually. Get that gigantic shell horn thing. Yeah, kind of weird. I don't know what they were going with that, but Greninja, for the water starter, well, that Froakie never really was interesting to me because it never really seemed like the other water starter Pokemon, mainly because it looked frail, and I believe its defense is actually pretty crap, actually. But another thing was that speed was good, because even though water Pokemon, I generally associate water Pokemon with speed, or at least with decent to great speed. The water starter Pokemon have never really been all that speedy, mainly because they are the big and bulky variety. But there are just a lot of things about Greninja that make it seem kind of frail and speedy. Mainly because fighting type move, one fighting type move, and that thing's out. But it seems so different compared to all the other ones, which is another reason why I like Fennekin. Though defense has never been the strong suit of some of the earlier starter Pokemon for the fire ones. Charizard can be taken down easily with something like a rock type move, or that Blaziken doesn't have all that great defense for what I remember. But Fennekin was just, it didn't take out Dugtrio. That's interesting. But Fennekin actually, it's a mage type Pokemon. It was actually really interesting because throughout the entire all the fire, starter Pokemon, except maybe Typhlosion, a lot of them had great attack. I'm probably gonna say that Typhlosion had a good attack power too, but you're not gonna find that on. You're definitely not gonna be finding that on. What was the last type? Delphox. You're not gonna find that on Delphox. Best you're gonna get is Psyshock, so that it can actually do physical damage using its special, attack stat. Now, actually, I'll go on and talk a little bit about the grass stars, but I got Froakie for a second one just because Bulbasaur. Originally, I used the Charmander more than Bulbasaur, but over the years, and just my more greater willingness to actually use support type moves, and generally just not being over leveled and one-shotting everything, I've been using Bulbasaur quite a bit more actually. It's nowhere near as adored for me is something like Squirtle, but definitely a lot more than Charmander. I'm not entirely in love with this moveset, but there's just something about Bulbasaur that just it's better for me than something like Charmander. Don't know why. It's not because I wanted to. I want to be different because everybody else I fucking know wants to get a Charizard. Everybody wants a Charizard. Why? I'm not just trying to be a douche. My favorite really is Squirtle, but why does everybody like the Charmander line? I mean, yeah, sure, it looks cool, but I don't see why everybody loves it. Anybody tell me why you love Charmander so much? I don't care for it. Well, really, if I'm gonna go with fire, well, the fire type, Typhlosion kicks Charmander's ass. Charizard can't do shit to the Cyndaquil line. I love the Cyndaquil line, and it's actually, if it wasn't for the fact that Froligator is one of my favorite starter Pokemon in general, I probably might have actually used Cyndaquil more than Totodile, but that's probably the fault with Cyndaquil. It has to deal with Totodile as its counterpart. It's well, the water type counterpart. It can't do that. It's not adorable enough. It's not vicious enough. It doesn't have the raw power and just intimidation factor. Though I would probably be scared of a, pissed off Typhlosion as well. I'm just not afraid that I'm going to get snapped in two, that I'm going to be eaten. And those are probably some good intimidation factors in the, I'm scared of a pissed off Froligator little situation, but Typhlosion, well, it's better than Charizard, is no Froligator. Then again, Meganium, I don't know why I don't use that more often. Granted, Meganium's definitely not one of my favorite grass-type starter Pokemon. Though other than Venusaur, I don't really use many of the grass-type starter Pokemon in general. The Snivy was never all that. I was never all that big on Snivy. Used it for a little while, but that was a failed playthrough. Turtwig, that's not my style of gameplay. I don't like the slow and defensive of the Pokemon. I just can't do it. Though Trico's always been interesting. Now let's actually get on to the gameplay. I really haven't been talking about it, but then again, this is still one of the earlier gym fights. I really don't have much to say on it anyway. No, actually, I believe for my ghost type, I'm probably going to be getting a Haunter. I'm going to be getting catching a Haunter on X and maybe a Phantom. I believe that was what it was called. And I don't know. For the 6th generation, I might have said this before, I might not have, except for maybe Benelby, its evolution, and possibly Talonflame. I love every single one of the, I really do love all of the designs for the 6th generation Pokemon, which is actually quite sad. The 6th generation has the least amount of Pokemon in it, yet it's probably the generation where I love all of the designs. First generation, I love like half of the designs. Some of the other ones, not so much. Magmar seems like he has an ass on his head. Jinx is just fucking weird. I will not defend Executor. Those guys are kind of weird as well. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about the first generation. To tell you the truth, I think the first generation is overrated. Then again, at the same time, I also think that the first generation is still the best one. Though, I will say that the second generation is probably the one I hear least about when people actually talk about just in rating all the generations. Fifth generation, way too much like the first one. Pretty good Pokemon, really good Pokemon, but too slow for some reason. Fourth generation, except for a few people, I don't hear many people say they ever liked the fourth generation Pokemon. I just hate their designs. Actually, for a couple of them, I also hate that battle cry in a couple of them. Bidoof and Starly being really bad offenders. But third generation, I don't know why some people hate the third generation. I actually quite enjoy it. And then the second generation, in my opinion, a lot of the Pokemon in the second generation feel as if they could have been in the first generation. They just, in my opinion, it's just more of an exotic approach to the first generation. Some Pokemon such as Xatu, Heracross, and the like, I just feel as if they could have been in the first generation based upon looks. But then again, it might just be because of the it was still a drawn art style, in which the third generation on had this more like animated art style to it. I really liked it better, and the second generation had some of the best sprite work in the series, actually. Not to say there weren't some bad spots. Holy shit, does Blossom look horrible in Pokemon Silver. But other ones like Xatu, Umbreon, there are a lot of good Pokemon artwork in the second generation games. Not to mention, the best part of it all of the second generation games had different sprite work. Pokemon Silver sprite work was different than Gold, and while Crystal used a mixture of the two, it also had the different animations for them as well, which was actually pretty cool in its own way, which, I don't know, I just love how the second generation actually used different sprites. Now, I thought this was going to be happening in the last part, but this is the fight where I use a Dodrio and beat a Rhydon. I believe. I completely use the, I just abuse Substitute. The fact that I use Reflect to make sure that Substitute's there longer, and then I just use Try Attack. I have no idea how this works. Oh yeah, and I also got critical hits. I don't know why I got so many critical hits, but this was awesome. You don't think that you could take out a Rhyhorn with a Dodrio using normal type attacks, but apparently you can, if you're lucky. If you're really, really lucky. Now, the only reason I think I had Dodrio still here was I don't really remember what Pokemon I have in my in reserve at the moment, but I don't really believe I had a good Pokemon for me to use. I just got lucky in this fight. Nothing can say. Just, I have no words for how lucky I was in this fight. 2 critical hits, the fact that Rhyhorn couldn't even break through my substitute. Granted, I did have Reflect up, but couldn't actually break through that substitute I put up for a good while. I lucked out on this one. That still amazes me. This is part of the luck factor in Pokemon. Granted, there's a luck factor in all RPGs, but you definitely have this luck factor in the Pokemon games that you have to account for. If you're kind of using some of those more chancy strategies, such as abusing confusion or abusing paralysis, just Pokemon being paralyzed. There is some luck factor into these games. Granted, there's only a luck factor if you're going into the strategies that use it, and if you're on the same level, or if you're under-leveled. If you're over-leveled, there is no luck factor, but you're just one-shotting everything. But when you can be one-shotted, oh yeah, that's why. I think Haunter didn't actually have a move I could actually use against Rhyhorn. I was just afraid of switching out because Rhyhorn could probably have used Earthquake or Dig in my Haunter, and Kadabra would have been taken out, or possibly would have taken in a lot of damage from a takedown, and so I used Dodrio. I was afraid that my Haunter was going to be taken out. And that was just cool. I took him out entirely with Dodrio. And that's never going to happen again. I'm never going to get that lucky. No, actually, I have quite a bit of my... I have a lot of favorites in this one. Don't know why I was using Moltres. It was probably a little... Let's just say... It was one of those Pokemon I threw in just for the hell of it. Somebody in the comments will tell me, why haven't you used the Legendary so far? Even though you have the opportunity to use them. Now, Moltres was actually quite overpowered in the first generation. Considering just how powerful it is, and the fact that it can actually use the Toxic Fire Spin strategy. Just like everything else, but I never really cared for it because you actually had to put good moves on it to actually get Moltres to do shit. It actually had to rely on the Fire Spin setup just because that's what it was given. With Articuno, you immediately had Ice Beam. With Zapdos, you actually had Drill Peck very beginning. Moltres, you had Peck and Fire Spin. Don't know why, but those are the only 2 moves you had, and you were kind of screwed. Yeah, Chansey isn't going to do shit to me. I have Dodrio. Dodrio knows physical moves. Chansey doesn't like physical moves. Bye-bye, Chansey. What now? Yeah, you can actually use Chansey as a quite a useful Pokemon in this generation because the special split hasn't happened yet, and put on some special moves. Blizzard. I believe it can actually on Thunder maybe, and a couple others, and they can actually be quite a powerful Pokemon. And, well, let's just say Chansey is by far a joke Pokemon in my opinion. Blissey not so much, but Chansey in this generation can be kind of powerful, but for the most part it's a joke. However, in one fight, there's one fight in which Chansey beats all other Pokemon, and that fight is with Mewtwo. Mewtwo only has just special moves. It has maybe like a Thunderbolt, Psychic, Blizzard, and something else. But they're all special moves, and none of them can beat Chansey. Mewtwo cannot beat Chansey unless he gets a critical hit or paralyzes you and you don't attack for a turn. Unless you're unlucky, Chansey cannot be beaten by Mewtwo by the time Mewtwo goes down, and 4 turns with Seismic Toss. Which is actually quite funny. The strongest Pokemon in the entire generation is taken down by quite possibly one of the worst to use, considering even though it has a great amount of health, one good fighting type move can easily take the thing out if it's from something like Machamp or Hitmonlee. Oh, Marowak's down. Almost used you. I believe I got that Hippo Pokemon from the 4th generation. Instead, actually, I probably could have taken out that Sandile, to be honest. I used Sandile in my time when I was playing White, and my the playthrough Black too. Yeah, I used them both. To be honest, in that second run, well, not second run, but Black 2, I actually reused a lot of Pokemon. I wasn't really doing too much, what was it called, experimentation. I used Roserade before, I used Lucario before, I used Crocodile before, I used Samurott before, I used Arcanine before. The only Pokemon I actually really used that was new to me was Mandibuzz, and that was that Mandibuzz that you can actually catch, I believe, was it Thursday or something? And that Desert Route, in which it has its hidden ability. Actually made it quite a useful Pokemon. I had put on a Rocky helmet, and I was abusing Nasty Plot. Its hidden ability was something like Fragile Armor or something, Weak Armor, in which if it actually gets hit, it would lose defense. Well, if it gets hit physically, at least, it loses defense, and its speed raises. I would use something like Nasty Plot once, and or maybe twice, but it does have some pretty good defense and high health, in which its speed would continue to go up. And after Nasty Plot would go, I would use either, well, it was either, Night Slash, or it might not have been Night Slash, but it was Air Slash, and another Dark type move. Both of which would, what's it called, flinch the target, in which, and the Pokemon actually did. It was very interesting because it was just trying to get your speed up, getting your opponent to bring up your speed, but also at the same time bringing up your special attack, and then just flinching your target or just taking them out outright. It was kind of weird. The Pokemon actually was. It took a little bit longer. It took a little bit of setup before you could actually really take anything out in a fight. But when you actually set it up, it was actually pretty. It was a pretty cool Pokemon to use. It was definitely not my general strategy, but quite interesting. Now, again, with the last couple of videos, the entire, except for the Pika Cup and maybe the Petite Cup, we really haven't needed to talk about strategy because it's the easy halves of the actual game. So, oh well, I was still talking about Pokemon, but who knows? Maybe I'll get to strategy next time. Oh, Erica, you should have had at least an executor instead of that execute. To be honest, I haven't been paying attention while doing this post-commentary. So, see you, everybody.